Well, good morning, folks. Here we are. This is almost impossible to think of what I could say about psychotherapy in 10 minutes. I could talk for hours on it. So what I'm going to do is just try and give you an essential flavour of what I do from my own perspective. So I'm not speaking from my profession, I'm just talking for what I do professionally. I suppose the first thing to say that psychotherapy belongs on a spectrum, at the other end of which is counselling and all other kinds of therapy in between. And it's about the different techniques and the length and the depth of the work that's done that places you on the spectrum. An essential component, quite obviously, is creating a safe place that is really confidential, because otherwise nobody's going to trust what's going on. So that's that's the bottom layer, really. My work can be short, medium, or long term, and it will partly depend on what the person coming to me is bringing and wanting, because there's always a negotiation that we're constantly having about what are they wanting and are we doing it or not. An obvious example of the sort of simpler work would be somebody who comes with a single issue and wants to sort it out and then go away again. To the other end of the spectrum, somebody who has had complex early disturbances in their life that has dogged them for the rest of their lives, and they now want to try and do something about it. I can work with individuals and couples and groups and families, and the ways in which I work will depend on what is being presented and what is needed. You could say, whatever I'm doing, you could sum it up as a private conversation with a purpose. The purpose is to establish a relationship within which somebody can connect with themselves in a way that will help them to an awareness that resolves the problems that they're bringing. I know that sounds a bit over-wordy, but it's impossible to sum it up in any other way. At the counselling end of the spectrum, an example might be, for instance, somebody who has had a serious car crash and has then months later or even a year later been suffering from symptoms that have been diagnosed as post-traumatic stress disorder. And that they're suffering from panic attacks and depression and anxiety and feeling that they're not functioning and that they're not the person that they recognise anymore. But prior to that, there was nothing wrong. So they come with a much clearer agenda, in the sense of saying, this is what's happened, this is how I've reacted, and I need some help. And that I would then work with them to sort it out. And that sounds perhaps quite simple. Another one might be retirement. Somebody who's retired without thinking or planning for it, and has just gone from full-time work to nothing overnight, and within 6 months or so starts developing all kinds of difficulties internally with themselves in terms of depression and anxiety and lack of self-worth. And you know, it's really about having given themselves no chance to adjust to an enormous change, perhaps the biggest change in life that most of us go through. So there's something clear to work with there. At the other end, you might have someone who's spent all their life struggling with low self-esteem, periodic depression and anxiety, and feeling that they can't make sense of their lives, and feeling that dissatisfied fundamentally, and that this is woven into their personality, so they can't get their hands on it. In this instance, the psychotherapy journey is going to be longer and more complex, and going to need more commitment from both sides if things are going to get improved. You could say that psychotherapy is therefore helping people to become more aware of their internal conflicts, sometimes unconscious, often. And through the development of this awareness, developing more options to deal with the conflicts that they've struggled with for so long. I can't in this short time give you any detail of the many models and theoretical approaches in my field of psychotherapy, so I will just want to end by emphasising what's central to my model, which is as an integrative relational psychotherapist. My aim is to form a relationship which enables, in the shorter term counselling, and for clients to identify and solve the problems affecting them, and in the more complex psychotherapy end of the spectrum, to become aware of the failures in early relationships in their lives that have afflicted them throughout their lives thereafter, and to build gradually a new healthy relationship within which healing can occur and insight can develop, which leads to growth in their inner and outer selves. You could say that, therefore, I walk alongside people, accompanying them in their troubles and their joys, and using my skills and experience to be an authentic companion.